Welcome back, guys, to the second part of our explainer on Pope John Paul II's landmark encyclical, Fides et Ratio. In our previous session, we laid the groundwork for understanding the incredibly profound relationship between faith and reason. But today we're going to venture even deeper. We're going to look at this sweeping, almost cinematic diagnosis of the modern human condition. It's a deeply scholarly look at exactly how we've lost our way, and, more importantly, the countercultural solution proposed to help the human spirit finally achieve flight once again. All right, let's dive right into this. Long before the scientific revolution even kicked off, human beings already recognized this totally unique capacity within themselves. We literally possess a deep, inescapable drive to understand reality. And we actually find this drive physically anchored at the ancient Greek Temple of Delphi, where the stone portal bears a very simple, very pressing command: know yourself. Now, this isn't just some catchy historical phrase, right? It is the inescapable foundation of our human drive. It testifies to a really basic truth about what it actually means to be alive, aware, and conscious of our place in the universe. That ancient command carved in stone identifies the absolute core inquiries that define our existence. Think about these fundamental questions of human life. Who am I? Where do I come from? Where am I going? Why is there evil? What happens after this life? Let those sink in for just a second. They're massive, they're sweeping, deliberate, and they literally dictate the entire direction of our lives. In fact, the encyclical points out that the answer we give to these specific questions ultimately decides the trajectory of absolutely everything we do. And what's truly fascinating here is that this pursuit of meaning is a universal human constant. This isn't just some uniquely Western phenomenon, and it isn't strictly Eastern either. These exact same questions bridge completely separated continents and cultures. We find them in the sacred writings of Israel, the Veda, and the Avesta. We see them in the writings of Confucius and Lao Tse, in the preaching of Tirthankara and the Buddha. They pop up in the poetry of Homer, the tragedies of Euripides and Sophocles, and the philosophical frameworks of Plato and Aristotle. This global persistence reveals a vital, undeniable truth about our shared human heritage. So, the crucial takeaway here is this: engaging with these ultimate questions is exactly what sets humanity apart from the rest of creation. The encyclical actually calls this the minimal norm for those who seek to distinguish themselves as, quote, human beings. To be human is to wonder. To be human is to seek meaning. Without this sense of wonder, as the text warns us, we would just lapse into deadening routine and slowly become totally incapable of a life which is genuinely personal. Section 1. Modernity's Retreat. Now, here is where the narrative takes a really sharp turn. Where ancient philosophy boldly sought definitive answers to these grand mysteries, contemporary thought has largely retreated. It's kind of abandoned ultimate truth. Let's walk through the symptoms of this modern era because they perfectly encapsulate our current cultural landscape. First off, we have an undifferentiated pluralism. Basically, the assumption that all positions are equally valid. And, well, when everything is equally valid, truth is just reduced to mere opinion. Consequently, we're seeing a widespread distrust of reason's great capacity for knowledge. People just don't ask those radical questions about meaning anymore. Instead, knowledge is fragmented into these super narrow, specialized fields. We deny that an objective, overarching, and knowable truth even exists. The text actually issues this really haunting warning about this retreat. It says it's given rise to different forms of agnosticism and relativism, leading philosophical research to, and this is a great quote, lose its way in the shifting sands of widespread skepticism. Humanity has basically been left to drift. With this sort of false modesty, people rest content with partial, provisional truths. We've totally convinced ourselves that we are incapable of definitive answers, basically abandoning the investigation of being itself.
Section 2. The Data Point Trap.
This brings us to a really specific and honestly dangerous consequence of this modern void. When you abandon the search for ultimate truth, human dignity is the very first casualty. Sure, we've achieved massive, unprecedented leaps in technology and data, but our positive achievements obscure a massive blind spot. Sundered from that transcendent truth, individuals end up being judged by pragmatic criteria, based essentially upon experimental data, all in the mistaken belief that technology has to dominate everything. Suddenly, the human person is treated merely as a subject of technology, measured only by their utility. Think about the concept of the number 1. It points out a truly bitter irony. This represents the cold, pragmatic data point that modern philosophy risks reducing us to. When we sever ourselves from the search for ultimate meaning, the transcendent value of the human person is completely stripped away. You are no longer a mystery to be revered. You're merely a statistic to be managed, a biological machine to be optimized, or just a temporary phenomenon floating in a meaningless void. And the encyclical uses some incredibly stark imagery to describe the end result of this pragmatic reduction. Without a firm foundation of truth, it says many people stumble through life to the very edge of the abyss without knowing where they are going. It's a profound, chilling agitation of the problem. If life is ephemeral, if there are absolutely no valid points of reference, the human spirit is just left to wander blindly into a bottomless abyss of despair and nihilism. Section 3. The Two Wings. Thankfully, Pope John Paul II doesn't just diagnose the despair, he offers a seriously powerful countercultural resolution. He argues that our minds are actually entirely capable of reaching the heights of truth. But to escape the void, the human spirit requires a specific mechanism, the two wings. See, faith and reason are not enemies. They are the two distinct, absolutely required modes of knowledge needed for the human spirit to ascend to the truth. Reason is our capacity for philosophy and logic, which is essential for uncovering objective reality. And faith is divine revelation, stepping right into human history to anchor our ultimate meaning. So let's break down how each wing functions. First up, we have the ascent of reason. The Catholic tradition maintains a profound respect for philosophy. Reason begins with rigorous speculation. It's just an innate property of the human intellect to observe nature. Next, the mind formulates universal principles, things like causality, non-contradiction, and fundamental moral norms. But eventually, reason hits a natural ceiling. It hits the physical horizon. Reason alone simply cannot penetrate ultimate mysteries, like the true purpose of suffering or the intimate nature of God. On its own, human life remains an insoluble riddle. Reason needs a boost to break through that ceiling. And that is exactly where the second wing comes in. In the Catholic worldview, revelation is anchored in history. The eternal enters time. God takes on a human face. By entering time and space, faith provides an absolutely valid source of meaning, an overarching revelation that the human mind, if it was just relying on reason alone, could literally never have imagined. It provides the final piece of the puzzle that makes our whole existence coherent. The dynamic at play here is brilliant. These two wings operate in a state of vital reciprocity. They actively purify each other to maintain human dignity. Notice the balance. Reason protects faith by providing critical boundaries, making sure religious belief doesn't degrade into superstition or dangerous fundamentalism. And simultaneously, faith protects reason. It saves logic from collapsing into nihilism or treating human beings as mere pragmatic data points. Faith insists that logic is directed toward an ultimate transcendent value. This beautiful synergy definitively shuts down the modern artificial idea that faith and scientific reason are somehow inherently contradictory. Truth cannot contradict truth. Just consider this quote from Galileo, who, as a surprising historical fact, actually remained a deeply devout Catholic his entire life, despite all his famous controversies. He wrote, "Methodological research and religious faith are paths leading to the same creator. Because both the reality of the physical world and the truths of faith originate from the exact same source, they are perfectly complementary. You don't have to abandon the rigors of logic to embrace revelation." Which leaves us with the ultimate application of everything we've explored today. So, how will you solve the riddle of your own existence? You're not a cold data point, and you are definitely not meant to stumble near the abyss of skepticism. To truly know yourself, you have to look beyond partial truths. I urge you to take away this unified vision. Apply both the extreme, unyielding rigors of reason to investigate the world and the absolute courage of faith to embrace the truth that transcends it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep pursuing the truth.